friends, is what an effective treatment feels like when you're done. So thank you for that musical experience of that. Good morning, my name is Lucille Lalone, and as Marjorie mentioned, we're going to be talking about, each of us in turn, about the steps of something very important to our teaching called spiritual mind treatment. And so we're going to probably abbreviate it as just treatment. You'll hear that a lot probably as the morning goes on. So the definition, the simple definition of treatment is a method to clear your mind of doubt and fear, causing it to perceive the ever-presence of God or divine spirit, whatever language you prefer to use. So this first step is called recognition, and so you might ask yourself, recognizing what? And recognition is recognizing the divine presence. So we come to why would you even need to do spiritual mind treatment? So on the days when you're not feeling like that song, when things aren't in harmony and flowing and abundant and pure and just juicy, you might have an experience in your life that you prefer not to be having. And so we call that the conditions. It's what happened. So we'll just take a simple example, say a job loss. You just got your layoff notice. So there's what happened, we call that the condition. And then there's what you made it mean. And unless you're Christ or Buddha, what you make it mean is this. This is Pat's thought device. She calls this your predominant thought pattern. It can often be chaotic, and it pretty much consumes your mind. It's what you make it mean. So we take that condition of job loss as an example, what I make it mean. Oh, lost my job. This is the third time I've been laid off. I always get laid off. I'll never get ahead. I'll be broke. I'm going to be living in the streets. So when all of this is swirling, now, has anyone experienced this? We're all among friends, a couple of people down over there. Okay. Well, the rest of you, you'll have to maybe approach this from a more conceptual perspective if you haven't experienced this. But it's what you make it mean. And while this is going on in your mind, there's really not much room for anything else. And you see solutions. You even notice when you're on the C train that there's a notice for maybe an opening at a company that could use your skills. You don't see any of that because you're so consumed with what you made that condition mean. So this first step, recognition, even coming to the place where you're going to sit and start, takes some courage. Our busy monkey mind would rather have us, all of a sudden your bathroom tiles need scrubbing or something. So you have to come to that place and break this thought pattern. So some people use soft music. They might have a special chair where they meditate. They might find a spiritual reading to just settle this down a little bit. So light a candle, all those sorts of things. Put on your animal print skirt, whatever it takes. So the first step is recognition that there is a divine presence. Perhaps you can't perceive it right now because of all of this, but you have a sense, perhaps intellectually, that it's there somewhere. So the power of treatment is not so much the words itself, and I think many of us have tried affirmations where you go, I'm abundant, I'm fully supplied, and the thought pattern really doesn't diminish, and in fact it gets stronger in resistance to it. So all we ask that first step is to recognize that somewhere out there, there's a presence. So we start to use phrases that have meaning. So you really can't say anything that isn't true for you. So you find words. It's the faith and your conviction that really makes treatment powerful. So we start, God is all there is. I live in a divine universe. It's powerful. It's intelligent. Everything is working out. It animates the movement of planets, the vibration of subatomic particles. It is ever present. It is near right now. It is always abundant. Oh, all of a sudden, perhaps that thought pattern came in. So you have to then try again. Maybe that step was a bit too much of a gap between what you're got in your mindset and what you know to be true. So you try again. You find places that you really feel that resonance with and not resistance. So you try again with those steps and keep going. That there is an infinite power, an infinite intelligence. It can never be stopped. That life force expresses in so many ways. A tree growing out of a cleft of rock. with barely any soil. It cannot be stopped. It is the true source of my supply. That abundance flows through me and as me. And that is the end of recognition.
Wow. Now that we know what it is, what am I to that? What is my relationship to that? So the next step as we're moving through that quiet time and understanding how the universe really works is, what am I to that? If God is all there is, I must be one with God. If it is all that big thing, how can something else be over here? I must be a part of it. I must be it. And this is critical in our teaching, that we are the emanation of spirit. We are spirit in expression. We are universal consciousness in form. Critical. Critical. And this is what's different between big R religion and new thought. That is the new thought, that we are it. And there's much to overcome in our upbringing, in our culture, in human belief systems, to come to that place. It seems simple to say, but it is difficult for us to realize that it is true that we are unified with it, and then to act accordingly, to believe accordingly. So, while we may not be everything that God is, the divine source is everything that we are. And comes with that the power and potential of the universal one power. This also means that we have a new understanding. We either need to beseech, or to beg, or to barter, or to hope that an external deity will favor us in some way. Instead, we must accept the responsibility that this is the truth. We are not subservient or victim to life. We are one with spirit, and as such, we direct our lives. That's our responsibility. And there are immutable laws and principles that we can learn about and use and know and express in our lives. The power of treatment comes from that knowledge. The power of treatment comes from knowing that you are one with spirit, and that you are creating your own human experience. And we do that in treatment. So what does the practitioner do? Well, the practitioner knows and understands through a lot of training, through a lot of time, through a lot of exploration, through a lot of personal work, to know that truth. To know that truth. And then to express it in treatment. What is the client, we call them, but it would be you, or if you're treating for yourself, what happens to you? Well, as far as the recipient is concerned, the law is the law is a law. Regardless of how conscious the client may be of the law, it's still going to work the way it works. However, we manifest what we speak or release into the universe. This is quickened and intensified by our belief that it emanates from us. This is where the power of treatment is. So recognition, God is all there is. Unification, I am one with God. This is the power that enlivens realization.
buy me a Mercedes Benz. My friends all have Porsches, I must make amends. Okay, so that's the realization part. We're turning inward in the realization part. This is the part where, actually my favorite part, is where I'm working to align my mind to what it is that I want. So there's 4 parts to realization that I like to include when I'm doing that. So the first one is that we're removing all the doubt, the fear, and the negativity from our consciousness. We are sometimes needing to argue with ourselves. So we would say something like, God has no fear. God is powerful. God is the one mind. Therefore, I am part of the one mind. So using that idea that we're convincing ourselves of the power of this presence within us, and that I know the truth, and that I'm going to realize that truth within me. So another part is to engage our emotions. That's a very powerful part of this treatment as well. Thought plus feeling equals outcome. Outcome or form or whatever we're looking for. The effect of what we're trying to create here. So we do it with passion, with power, as opposed to God is good. Yeah, this is okay. I think I might be able to get this treatment. So we really want to add that delicious impact of emotions to effect a powerful treatment for ourselves. Thirdly, and I think this is really the most important part, is I am not creating the outcome. I'm aligning my mind, my awareness with this outcome. So there's no forcing it, there's no pushing it, there is no part of mental coercion in this treatment. I'm just aligning myself with that power. I know that it's in me, and then I have this awareness of it. This is a mental approach that we're using to clear our thoughts, and we're doing it for ourselves, not to ourselves. And the fourth aspect is that whatever the condition is, so over here we have poverty, unemployment, like Lucille talked about, we're lonely. We don't have any friends. So what we do is we turn our back completely on that, the condition, and we step forward into what we want. I'm a great friend. People call me all the time. Hey, Les, I'm going out for pizza. You want to join me? I have a plenitude of friends. There's lots of friends around me. I'm a good friend. I help my friends. And you can see myself, I'm convincing myself of this. I'm stepping into it, and there's power in it. I have happy friends, and I'm adding in the emotions. So treatment is not a beseeching, like, oh, I need a Mercedes-Benz, but it's about me being the driver of the Mercedes-Benz, knowing that I have that, and it's part of me. So we know it works, and we prove it all the time. As our founder, Ernest Holmes, says, life is a mirror. It reflects back to the thinker what he thinks into it. And the next step is Thanksgiving. Pelly?
Okay. Good morning. I'm grateful to be here and share ideas with you. So I'm here to talk about the fourth step in spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, which is gratitude. Now what you have to realize is that gratitude is not a word or a bunch of words. It is a feeling. So at this step in treatment, once you have recognized what God is, and you have unified with that recognition and realized the idea of your good, gratitude naturally floods the whole being. It is a deep inward knowing that my good is already a spiritual idea as spoken. Now, there are many things to be grateful for. There are many mysterious things to be grateful for. And one of those is the mystery of the breath. I invite you to take a deep breath. Being grateful for the mystery of the breath, knowing that the same intelligence, which is the source of the breath, is the same intelligence which is the source of my good, as spoken. Ernest Holmes, on page 497 of The Science of Mind, quote, "Pray without ceasing. This means to be always on the affirmative side of life. To pray without ceasing is to doubt never, but to always trust in the law of good. This inner communion is essential to the soul and natural to the mind. It is a constant recognition of our relationship to that presence in which we live and move and have our being. In everything, give thanks. An attitude of gratitude is most salutary and bespeaks the realization that we are now in heaven. How we love to do for those who cooperate with and are grateful for our small endeavors. Gratitude is one of the chief graces of human existence and is crowned in heaven with the consciousness of unity." Unquote. So as you sit in that attitude of gratitude and breathe in that feeling, it creates a bridge for the idea prayed about to manifest from its spiritual form to its physical form. By sitting in that feeling of gratitude, it creates a bridge for the idea to manifest from its spiritual form to its physical form. Now remember, it is all energy. Holding that vibration of gratitude is all that is needed at this step of treatment. The words spoken to then express that vibration can be as simple as "thank you, I am grateful. I know my truth is already as spoken."
Good morning. And so we've come to the fifth and final step in spiritual mind treatment, release. Now, it's both the most challenging and the most critical step in treatment. In fact, I will go as far as saying that without the attainment of this step, none of the other steps matter. Release is really where the rubber hits the road. Master the art of release and you've mastered the creative process and the world is yours to generate. It's where the real power is, and it takes practice. So help me out here with a show of hands. How many people here have ever said some version of or thought some version of, if you want it done right, you gotta do it yourself? Okay, so keep your hands up for me and look around the room, and you'll start to understand why I say this is such a difficult step. So we all have an idea of what our good should look like and how to get there. We get attached to this created version of getting our good as being our highest possible good, and where there's attachment, release becomes difficult. It's like the gardener having cultivated the perfect growing conditions, digging up the seed to see if it's sprouted, instead of simply relying on the perfect laws of nature to perform in perfection. Now in treatment, as you've heard, in the last 4 steps, we already have cultivated the perfect growing conditions. And so by law, it must be so. So it is to the creative action of this limitless law that we release our treatment. Now, here's the tricky part. We release and leave the how to the bounteous, brilliant, infinite nature of this law. So when we truly release, we trust, and we know. However, please don't ever think that the art of release is a passive act, because it does demand dedication, rigor, discipline, as it requires that we recognize a unified power that has access to infinite possibilities. Infinite. It asks us to trust in this limitless field of intelligence which contains all knowing, past, present, and future. It demands that we embrace that we are the place where the nature of God expresses and experiences itself fully, unencumbered, without limitation of any kind, unerringly through an infallible creative law as directed by our mental atmosphere. Step 5 requires that we consciously cultivate the mental conditions under which this new possibility can come into form. And we repeat this conscious cultivation as necessary without judgment, because any form of fear kills the creative process of release. We are asked to live from abundance, knowing that we are connected to a fail-safe source of supply. Step 5 asks us to partner gratitude for what is in our current conditions with a cheerful expectancy of a greater and richer expression of life. The art of release requires that we embrace and be open to the likelihood that the effect may not take the form that we envisioned, nor will it come in the time that we expected. So we must release expectation, every last drop of it. Release asks us to align our thoughts, our actions, our beliefs with this new and perhaps as yet unseen reality. And it calls for a level of knowing that some people call delusional. The art of release asks us to be vigilant in our alertness and awareness of how this new reality is already expressing in us and around us. This magnetizing mindfulness pulls for more to look for, pulls for more good to notice. So we renew our commitment to calling in and making welcome the newly desired condition in every present moment. We do that by being the person for whom this new reality is true. This means that we turn away from the unwanted conditions of our reality and instead know the truth of what we have created in spiritual mind treatment as the new and only reality. Release is about allowing that larger part of us, the divine, impeccable perfection that is our nature, to reflect this truth back to us. It's about getting out of the way and faithfully expecting a perfect unfoldment of condition in divine, perfect timing. The process of release is the culmination of the creative process. And now that we are complete, we simply leave the heavy lifting to that larger part of ourselves as we powerfully proclaim our release by pronouncing together, "And so it is."
So, what do you think? You all ready to go out and give treatment a try? And know that treatment is kind of like when you first learn to use a computer. You can't break the thing. So you get these ideas about, oh, I hear all this stuff on Sundays, and you can try it out. And will your first treatment be absolutely picture-perfect textbook? Perhaps, perhaps not. But we all just keep going. We keep using it. We keep using it as a tool to shift our lives and make great change for ourselves. You know that on Sundays you can get a treatment from one of us. We're all professional practitioners, so we've been trained in doing this. Sundays is complimentary. Some of us stay up near the front here. If you'd like a treatment, please come and get one from us. But treatment is for everyone, so we're also all out there treating for ourselves as well. So let me do a short treatment and see if you can. Actually, I'm going to pinpoint. I'm going to highlight the steps as I go along. There is a power for good, a single power, a universal energy of love, and this energy is also one of divine right order. So I am clear in this first step of treatment that there is one power, and that is creating life brand new in every moment. I know that all of the universe is made of this one substance, and that it is always being creative. It is every possibility, and life is unfolding in a beautiful, synchronous order. In the second step of unification, I know that I am this power. If God is everything, if life is everything, then I am also this. So I have within me all of the powers, all of the capacity of spirit. I am pure love. I am absolute abundance. I am the creative intelligence of spirit itself. So knowing that every possibility is open for me, in this third step of realization, I declare that the love that I am shows up in all of my relationships. So I see that relationships happen for me in a harmonious give and take that is a delight to me and to everyone I'm in relationship with. I see that my abundance shows up in all the ways that matter to me. I am rewarded in my work. I am rewarded with gifts that I give and I receive. I know that love and abundance are absolutely mine. And I see my creativity showing up in the world as I express myself fully and freely and powerfully in my work. And my ideas are heard and received with respect. And having known that there is one life, that I am it, and that I am realizing all of my dreams, I move to the fourth gratitude. I move to gratitude, and I remember that I am so blessed, that my good rushes to me all the time. My good cannot be kept from me, because it is my nature to receive the gifts of spirit and to give the gifts of spirit. So I give thanks. I immerse myself in this feeling of gratitude for the richness of my life, for the freedom that I experience, for the beauty of this community, and gratitude for the action of spirit making its way in the world by means of me. And finally, I release these words. And I do so in the deep understanding, the trust, the faith, the knowing that life works on my behalf. That as I know the truth about life and I know the truth about me, all of it happens without my effort. I simply release these words to the divine, trusting in the divine right action of spirit itself. And I fully release it and I let it go. Please join me in declaring, and so it is.